All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an awesome time so far. Our next speaker is Sheryl-Moore-Marlette. She is the COO at Nelson. Please join me in welcoming Sheryl to our virtual stage.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining me. I'm Sheryl-Moore-Marlette, Chief Operating Officer at Nelson Worldwide. Today, I'm going to be discussing why now, more than ever, the art of visual storytelling is so important in the A&E industry, and the digital tools we've created at Nelson to bring these narratives to life. Before we begin, I wanted to quickly introduce who we are at Nelson. Nelson is an award-winning firm transforming all dimensions of the human experience through architecture, interior design, graphic design, and brand strategy services. With more than 800 teammates spread across 20 offices, the firm's collective network provides strategic and creative solutions that positively impact where people work, shop, dine, stay, serve, play, and thrive. We offer expertise in 8 key industries, but find we provide the most value at the intersections, specifically focusing on how these industries are merging and impacting each other more than ever before. We also offer a holistic list of services from strategy and insights through architecture and engineering, providing clients with an inclusive all-in-one solution. While we're headquartered in Minneapolis, our footprint spans the country with more than 20 dedicated offices, in addition to a handful of satellite offices. The fact that I'm sharing today's presentation through Zoom signifies why this topic of digital storytelling has never been more relevant. So many of us have been stuck at home this past year with little engagement with the physical environment. Our experiences have been largely digital. That being said, if those digital experiences are done right, they can have an equally as meaningful impact on the viewer. So that's what we'll get into today. What's the process to craft an engaging narrative? What are the tools to bring it to life? And most importantly, what's the value in utilizing these tools? Before we dig into the process, let's take a step back and reiterate what so many of us already know. Data and research across industries, some of which I've captured here on the slide, tells us that while well-written words are great, words accompanied by dynamic images are even better. But best of all is engaging digital content that narrates the story for us. Call us lazy, but we're always looking for easier ways to digest information, and there's no better way to spoon-feed us content than digital. We all love a good story. The A&E industry has always been slow to adopt emerging digital trends, but the pandemic has shined a spotlight on the need to play catch up, especially when touring a space in person was not necessarily available to us throughout 2020. So let's take a look at the ideal process to crafting an effective and memorable digital story. This is Nelson's storytelling roadmap. With every project we do, we start with our strategy and insights team. These initial steps allow us to align on goals and objectives, future-proof our concept, and create a differentiated narrative that will resonate with the target audience. I'll go through these first steps a little more in the next slide. But for the sake of time, today's presentation will mainly focus on step 6. Once you have that ownable storyboard, how do you develop engaging digital tools? And what's the value add? But let's start with a quick overview of recommended first steps, rooting your concept in strategy. Step 1, host an immersion session, bringing in key stakeholders to understand the opportunity and begin to solidify the vision. That means answering questions like, why are we doing this? What does this matter to people? What need are we fulfilling? What does success look like? How can we future-proof? And how does this impact business goals? Next, you need to conduct a landscape assessment. You can't identify how you're going to differentiate your offering until you understand what's around you. That means understanding your local market composition and location insights, such as community type, is it rural or urban? Mindset, progressive or conservative? Usage, how are people using these spaces? Tenure, how long has the development, property, or town been around? Region, is it West Coast or Northeast? You'll also want to understand best-in-class benchmarking. What are those properties, spaces, or developments that are setting the bar in your market? And sometimes even out-of-market inspiration is helpful to know where you measure up. We use trend platforms like Stylist or Trend Hunter to help us identify those case studies. Utilize social listening, Glassdoor for offices, Yelp for restaurants, social media accounts for retail brands to help capture insight in consumer, employee, and guest sentiment. You don't always have to pay for custom research. Next, you want to set the vision. An easy way to think about this phase is to craft your headline. If a headline were to run on your space, what would it say? What's the date? What publication is the headline in? What are those key elements it touches on? This helps you craft your ideal vision of the success. And lastly, you start to craft the narrative, keeping all this content in mind. We often use the 6-word story activity with clients to help with this step. Made famous by Ernest Hemingway, this is the challenge to see if you can boil your narrative down to 6 words. Hemingway infamously published his as "For sale, baby shoes never worn." The idea, if that something can grab readers' attention, be emotional, and still be concise, eventually your narrative will be more than 6 words, but identifying the core message, you can use this step as a consistent filter throughout your storytelling journey to make sure you're still aligning with the initial vision and objectives. So now that we've quickly walked through the first half of our storytelling roadmap, let's talk about the visuals, the why, the what, and the how. First, let's look at the benefit of utilizing these new digital tools for storytelling. These tools can help you consolidate all the relevant property information into one place that any device can access. So not only can someone visualize the space, but they can also view measurements, understand amenities, see capacities, comparables, etc. Digital experiences allow for greater flexibility than typical construction, so you're able to make decisions in real time, keeping budgets and timelines intact. There's significantly lower investment than typical build-out costs. You can gauge interest, capture feedback, or even raise capital before even laying a brick. Digital tools can give you a much better advantage marketing-wise. You're able to showcase a space without ever stepping foot into a building, but also digital platforms give owners the opportunity to access analytics and traffic reports to know who's looking at the space. Virtual tours and video content rank higher on commercial listing sites like LoopNet and CoStar, pushing your space higher on search results and SEO rankings. More than 81% of Americans own a smartphone, which means more than 81% of Americans have the ability to access this content. We're no longer limited to visiting sites in person or owning a desktop computer to access these spaces. With these digital tools, it opens up the audience we're able to get in front of. Beyond selling space, these 3D visualization tools can also be leveraged for a myriad of initiatives, like onboarding employees for the first time with new hires, but also for the whole company when thinking about this year and the return to office initiatives. Leveraging these tools to showcase a new employee journey through the space, one-way entrances, or new temperature checks. We work with a lot of leading retail brands, hence what you're seeing on the left of the slide, and we leverage these tools when considering merchandise planning, even crafting what these virtual selling environments will look like in the future and how they will interact with the physical store. For healthcare and life science clients, it might be the layout and location of substantial lab equipment. For spec suites, it's leveraged to display multiple design options for different density scenarios. And for our asset strategy practice, We're seeing entire building tours being offered through an individual's iPhone. The possibilities are endless. So let's look at 4 different tools we've created as a part of this 3D visualization offering that helps bring these stories to life. Starting with our Amplify Fit plans. These are interactive test fits that allow users to understand the space plan. You're able to navigate through the space and even customize the floor plans. This type of 3D tool can really help speed up the approval process by making changes and adjustments in real time and having key stakeholders align on decisions. Next is a hype video. Think of this as an emotional movie trailer that's able to generate anticipation and excitement for a space. This should have an engaging narrative and can even be created before the actual build out to raise capital, or after a project to garner further interest, users, or press. Next is Vibe 360 virtual tour. These give a first-person perspective of space and can easily change between multiple design iterations. These give users a much more realistic aesthetic, amplifying the look, tone, and feel of a space. This type of tool also allows users to link multiple floors and spaces together, giving viewers a more holistic sense of the larger environment. And the last is the Elevate video. This tool gives users a bird's eye view of a property, allowing a viewer to understand the space in greater context to the surrounding area. This tool is powered by drone and can help identify massing options and the overall footprint of a space. Like most of these tools, it can provide stunning visuals and can also be launched quickly on social media for initiatives like community awareness or buy-in campaigns. One of our most recent case studies that brings our Hype video tool to life is our 222 space. Recently completed in Minneapolis, the 222 building was created around this evolved workplace narrative. The storytelling focused on show-stopping transformation of how office space will need to evolve based on what companies will be seeking in 2021 and beyond. Reimagined lobby spaces, light-filled atrium, an amenity lounge, exclusive tenants-only amenity lounge, first-class conference center, state-of-the-art training room, dedicated pre-function space with connected lounge above, and an outdoor rooftop deck. At 41 floors, 222 is the 5th tallest building on the Minneapolis skyline and offers unrivaled light and just breathtaking views. You can see the full Hype video on our website, but there were a couple of techniques I wanted to call out. Those elements that take a good digital story and turn it into a great one. These short GIFs highlight some of those important techniques. First, you'll notice we're not just showing visuals, but also narrative. Going back to that first slide, it's a combination of a strong message plus dynamic visuals and digital. We've laid key messages into the video. Second, these, what we call pivot pans, are moving the camera horizontally and back to showcase the full breadth of the space. Slide pans are again moving horizontally through the space, but this time on consistent imaginary level. Dynamic moves throughout the video speed up or slow down the cadence, bringing a level of drama to the scene. No one wants a one-note video. It needs to ebb and flow. And while you can't hear it on my presentation, there's also background music that's synced to these strategic movements. A time lapse allows viewers to see how space changes throughout the day, how light affects a space, and this is a great way to showcase that. Showing motion that gives users better context of depth of fields is extremely important, especially when viewers may not get to visit in person. This effect gives a sense of how space connects to one another, gives the viewers multiple perspectives of the same space. Leveraging views that are impossible for in-person visits are another added benefit of the digital tools. Here, the transition between floors showcases a journey through the window well, giving viewers an exclusive viewpoint. Lastly, being able to zoom out to have greater context of a space provides users with a better understanding of the surrounding area, and of course, a great dynamic ending. Overall, these types of digital tools give the architecture industry a new way to storytell, one that's not only cost-effective and more efficient, but consumer-friendly. These short digital narratives can connect with your audience and leave a lasting impression long after they hit play. If you want to learn more about these digital tools, please visit nelsonworldwide.com 3D Revolution to learn more. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you for sharing these incredible insights with us. I know the audience is giving you a huge virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, for the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure to accept your connection request and check out our amazing exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.
Thank you, everyone.